Okay, it's 2 o'clock, and first off, I want to thank everyone for being here this afternoon for this, I think, important announcement, one that I am very, very happy to make. Back on December the 6th, I appointed as our interim chief Paul Hudson, as our interim assistant chief Paul Dean, and they have been working hard since that time to get the department somewhat reorganized and reconfigured. They worked hard as team members, the two of them together, to build a leadership in our police department that will work well with other departments in this part of the state, or all over the state for that matter, including the Sheriff's Department. Thank you, Sheriff, for being here today. I know the Chief of Police from Chief McDonald and the Mayor of Opp are here today, and thank you for being here as well. Members of the District Attorney's Office and other law enforcement agencies are represented here, along with members of our own police department. So the announcement, y'all probably have figured it out by now. It's not that difficult. It's my pleasure to announce that I will be removing, or am removing this instant, the interim attachment to their titles as chief and assistant chief. So Paul Hudson will be our new chief of police, permanent chief of police, and Paul Dean will be our new permanent assistant chief. They have, as I said, have worked real hard this past 6 or 7 months and worked very well together. I'm excited about the future of our police department. A few years ago, when my first term of office, we hired a new police chief, and I asked that chief to bring training, education, opportunities to our police department, and they, to the point that at some point in the future, when we promoted or hired a new chief, a new assistant chief, or any other officer, hopefully we could find within our own department the future leaders of our Andalusia Police Department, and we've been able to do that now because of that type of the emphasis that was placed upon training and education and teamwork. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you the new Chief of Police for Andalusia, Paul Hudson. Paul?
Thank you to everyone for being here today. I would like to especially thank Sheriff Dennis Meeks, Chief McDonald, Chief Sonny Bedsoul, the District Attorney Walter Earl, and my good friend and longtime partner, Mark Odom, wherever he went. Each of these men deserve thanks for their support, their continued friendship, and the advice they've provided us during this interim process. Next, I would like to thank Mayor Johnson, our council members, and the officers and the staff of the Andalusia Police Department for giving us the opportunity to lead the department that I've spent my entire 20 years with. I will admit, somewhat intimidating, the task I don't take lightly, but I know I will enjoy it. I started my career with the Andalusia Police Department in 1994, and just as any young police officer, I've always wanted to make a difference. Today, as I stand before you, my goal remains the same. The biggest difference between the goal of 20 years ago and today is that I believe I can impact more lives and make a bigger difference. My leadership strategy is simple, and to better explain that, I'll take some words from Paul Bear Bryant. Set goals, high goals, for you and your organization. When the organization has a goal to shoot for, you create teamwork, people working for a common goal. As many of you know, I'm a man of few words. That comes from a belief that action speaks louder than words. I will lead the Andalusia Police Department with that same philosophy in mind. Our actions will speak louder than our words. I have the utmost confidence in Captain Paul Dean and his ability to perform the duties as the assistant chief. Paul and I have worked together in some capacity for almost 2 decades. If I don't know the answer, he will. And as always, he'll be quick to share. In closing, I would like to thank my family for supporting me. I'm lucky to have my father, Dwight Hudson, here with us today. He's a retired lieutenant with the the Greenville Police Department and has over 25 years of law enforcement experience. I'm the proud father of Josh Hudson, who's in his second year of service. He works for the Police Department. And Noelle Hudson, my daughter, who works with Andalusia Manor. In addition to my law enforcement family, I have two brother-in-laws who are also in law enforcement. So as you can see, law enforcement runs deeply in my family. Finally, I would like to thank my wife, Brandy, for her love and continued support through the interim position and now the transition into the Chief of Police position for the City of Andalusia. She has stood by me and helped me transition from a patrol lieutenant to the Chief of Police. I would not be here today without her love, support, and encouragement. And again, thank you, Mayor Johnson, all the council members, and everyone who has supported me. I look forward to continuing the progress in mending old fences and building new relationships that began just 6 short months ago. Thank you.
Our speeches are going to sound like they were written by the same person, but I too would like to thank all of the people that are here today, visitors, Sheriff Meeks, members of the District Attorney's Office, representatives from the Police Department. I think I see most all the Drug Task Force members. I truly am humbled by your support. You showing up here today, and I appreciate it. Mayor Johnson and council members, I want to say thank you for giving me an opportunity, this opportunity. Our department has come a long way in the past several years, and I'm excited about playing a vital role in the continued progression. I work every day with my fellow officers to assure our citizens the quality of life that they expect and deserve here in the City of Andalusia. I'd also like to take this time, an opportunity to publicly thank my family, also for their love and support that they've shown me throughout my entire career. It's been a lot of ups and a few downs, but without their support, there's no way I'd be here where I am today. My family is the strong foundation from which I've been able to grow and become the person I am. To my fellow officers of the Andalusia Police Department, I'm excited about our future. I know that in the future, we're going to have ups and downs, good days and bad days. But as a law enforcement family, we will overcome any obstacle in our path, and together, keeping 3 words in mind: courteous, respectful, and professional, we will continue to improve our department and provide the very best service we can to the citizens that we serve. I've always said that no one works for me. We all work together for the City of Andalusia, and I'm still a firm believer in that. I also look forward to working with our neighboring agencies, our fellow agencies. We all know criminals have no jurisdictional boundaries, and because of that, working together, sharing information, whether it's about suspects or the new trends in crime, the only way we can be successful in apprehension and prosecution of those criminals is to work together. And that's our goal, is to work together to get these people off the street, to prey upon our citizens. And finally, to Chief Hudson. When we met back in about 1996, I believe it was, I never thought we'd be standing here today. We patrolled the streets of Andalusia together on night shift. We fought the methamphetamine epidemic in our county out of the Drug Task Force. We worked together with a group of outstanding guys to create what is now the Covington County Incident Response Team. It came from just a small group, excuse me, of 6 dedicated members to the team it is today. A well-trained, well-equipped group of officers that are prepared to respond to the worst of the worst while maintaining a level of professionalism and discipline. The future of our department is very bright, and today it is confirmation of a new beginning and the exciting things to come. And I can say I'm truly honored to serve as your Assistant Chief. In closing, I'd like to say that this is an exciting time in my career, and I appreciate all the words of encouragement that I've heard from people around in the community. As the Assistant Chief of the Andalusia Police Department, I will strive every day to continue to push our department forward. This begins with choosing the best person for the job when we're hiring a new officer. providing that person with the best training that we can and equipment. And finally, teaching that person to be courteous, respectful, and professional, no matter what situation they find themselves in. Citizens of Andalusia deserve a professional law enforcement agency, and with the Andalusia Police Department, that's what they'll get. In doing our jobs, we won't be able to please everyone. That's the nature of the beast, but my office is always open. I welcome anyone at any time to come if they have a question or concern. Come by and see me, or give me a call there at the police department. Thank you.
Again, I want to congratulate these two fine men. I look forward to working with them very much. I'm going to make a few comments, and then I'm going to open it for questions if anyone might have a question. And the question, it needs to be answered by either the chief or the assistant chief. We will give them the floor to do that. First question I got is how do you stop that thing from moving? Let me say this. As mayor of the city of Andalusia, like the mayor of any city, and the mayor of office here with us, and I'm sure he would agree with this, we have a lot of responsibilities. We have a lot of people that we talk to every day, having to do with every kind of thing you could imagine. Some of it is things we can help with and do something about, some of it is not. But there is nothing that I take more seriously than my responsibility to provide for the public safety of the citizens of Andalusia and the people who pass through our community. That is my top priority as mayor. That is number one. And I take that responsibility very seriously. I think that we have now together a team that will make sure that the public is protected, well taken care of, a police department that can function at the highest levels. We, as the mayor and the council, are committed to providing these police officers the equipment that they need, the learning and training opportunities that they need so that they can become the best police officers that they can be, so that we will have the best police department that we can have here in the city of Andalusia. We're committed to that. And look forward to a great relationship with these two new leading officers of our department. We look to building stronger relationships and better relationships with our fellow agencies, the Sheriff's Department, the other police departments, the Alabama Bureau of Investigation, and on, because we're all in the same business, and that is public safety. With that having been said, does anyone have a question they'd like to pose?
Did you have other candidates, and what set these guys apart from the others?
Well, we didn't open the pool. When Chief Williams retired, of course I knew he was going to retire before the day came, so I started looking within our own department to see, do we have people in this department who can take these two jobs, or this job, both of them, as chief and assistant chief, and move forward, and move our department forward. And I found what I thought were the best. We wanted someone, first off, quite frankly, you'd like to promote from within your own department, because it builds morale in the department. It gives the lower ranking officers something to shoot for in their careers. But also, they know our community. They know their fellow law enforcement departments and agencies in this area. So the learning curve for them to step in as chief and assistant chief is not as great, in my opinion, that it would be if we hired somebody from Birmingham or Dothan or somewhere else, because they have to come here and learn the community. So it was important that I felt it important that we try to promote them within our own department. So we never opened the door, so to speak, for other applicants to come from the outside in. So it's my responsibility as mayor to make the appointment. The council does not vote on this. This is not something the council votes on, but every single council member supported this decision. I want that clear. Every council member supported the appointment of these two gentlemen as interim chief and assistant chief, and they supported my decision to remove interim from their title of the job description.
Was there ever a moment when you thought, well, after you made the interim appointment that, all right, I'm ready, let's just take it off there? I mean, was there ever an instance, a way the department was ran, anything like that?
Well, I wanted to give them time to be able to spend about 6 months that they've had the interim attached to their titles. I wanted them to give them time, and I gave them full leash to do what they wanted to do in the department, and they've done that. And they've done some reorganization, some restructuring, and have worked hard to demonstrate to me that they both have the leadership capabilities to be the chief and assistant chief, but they also have the administrative abilities to run the police department. And that's what I wanted to see demonstrated. I wanted to see demonstrated that they could build bridges to our fellow law enforcement agencies, and not only locally but on a statewide basis. And they have demonstrated the skills and the ability to do that as well. So as soon as I was satisfied that they have demonstrated those concerns that I might have, no matter who I put in that position, in the interim position, then I was prepared. And we've been talking about this for several weeks, but it's finally come to fruition today.
At the time of the appointment of now Chief Hudson and Assistant Chief Dean, you moved Lieutenant Mike Bullen to City Hall to become the liaison between City Hall and the police department. I think there was some wording used along those lines. What is the status of that appointment or that position?
Mike Bullen, there was an opening in the water sewer department, and he came to me one day and said, I'd like to try that job. So I put him over there out of the police department in that position, and to give him an opportunity in that job, and he's done outstanding work there. And it's a big learning curve for him, but he's worked extremely hard and continues to work extremely hard. So right now, Mike Bullen will be head of the water sewer department until he decides he doesn't want that job or wants to do something else. But so far, he's done tremendously well. I'm very pleased and excited about his position there. We had an opening there that needed to be filled by a good leader, and Mike Bullen is that kind of man. He's done a tremendous job there. All right, anybody else?
I have a question or two for the chief.
Sure.
We can do it separately, we do it here, I don't care. From the beginning, why did you want to do this? I mean, why did you want to be chief?
Well, like I said, back in 1994, I started my career at Andalusia Police Department. I kind of followed in the footsteps of my father, who was a deputy sheriff at the Crenshaw County Sheriff's Office. And just as I said, being a young officer, you want to try to make a difference in the community and in people's lives. Once I got into law enforcement, I realized that I wanted to progress further up the chain. I was afforded opportunities for training and different things that really sparked my interest in moving up to the top. And my ultimate goal was to make it to the top. I took some different steps and prepared myself for the job, and with family encouragement, that's where I ended up today. Proud to be here.
Any short-term goals, long-term goals for what you want to do, change, or what the people of Andalusia will see, will they visibly see anything different, anything that could be changed like that?
Well, I mean, everybody has short-term and long-term goals. It's hard to put them all out there on the table as it is. The biggest thing is we want to build a professional police department, continue doing the professional police department, what we had before I was appointed to interim. We want to continue working on that. We have a fine training facility that we open up to not just our police officers, but officers from all over the state, Northwest Florida. We're going to continue to build on that aspect and bring in high-quality training for our officers to make them the best officers we can make them, and make them just as professional as we can make them. Anybody else?
Okay, thank you very much.